Hi everyone, welcome to our official launch of HE+. I can see that lots of people are still joining, so we'll go over some quick housekeeping and then we'll get straight into the session. So thank you for joining us for our launch this evening. This session is going to be more informative and talking you through things like the structure of the programme online, how the online programme might benefit your academic journey, and what is expected of you as a participant on the programme. Now, a few housekeeping rules. There is a questions box that you can access on the side panel. Please do leave your questions in there throughout the session, and we're hoping to have Q&A at the end. Please do not spam the chat with your questions. This makes it quite hard to navigate, especially as there are nearly 700 people on this call already, and we won't get to all of the questions today, but we'll do our best to answer the ones that come up most frequently. And try not to worry about taking too many notes in this session. Again, on the side panel, you will see that there is a handout section. I have uploaded these slides as a PDF, so you can go back to them at any point and go through that in your own time. So try to pay attention, but don't worry too much if you don't get everything down on paper. So on to introductions. My name is Sammy, and hopefully you'll have received emails from me already. I am a widening participation coordinator here at the University of Cambridge. My main job is to coordinate all of HE+, so I oversee the whole programme, even the in-person launch and working with your teachers and all kinds of things like that. So I'm really in charge overall, but there are lots of people involved that make this programme happen. And Sophie is somewhere.
Hello, I'm Sophie. I am also a widening participation coordinator at the University of Cambridge, and I work with Sammy to do all of the things that she just mentioned. So running these online sessions, working with your teachers and your Cambridge Link colleges to make sure that the programme runs smoothly. You may also receive emails from me.
Perfect. So thank you so much for joining us. We thought we would start today with a quick little quiz. Sometimes we'll have interactive elements in these sessions. So if you have a web browser readily available to put the link into, or a phone to scan a QR code, you'll be able to take part in that aspect. So I can see that people should be able to join. And the question that we want to ask you is, how many HE+ hubs are currently operating across England and Ireland? And that should pop up in just a second, and we'll be able to see who is answering that. I can see that people are joining, so that's amazing. See that people are answering. That is great. Perfect. Let's see what people are predicting. Okay. It looks like it's pretty evenly split actually, between 17 hubs, 21 hubs and 25. The actual answer that you'll be able to see in just a second is 21 hubs. So there are actually 21 hubs across the country. You belong to one of those. So even though you're online currently and it feels like you might be accessing this programme independently, you are part of a much wider network. Whichever hub you're in, your teacher at your school will be liaising with teachers at other local schools, and hopefully you'll be able to meet some of those students and teachers at in-person activity if that is taking place in your local area. So that's, really exciting to think of yourselves as part of something much bigger in the grand scheme of the programme. And I'll hand back to Sophie. Oh no, it's still me, sorry. So you might have signed up to this programme and you might be wondering what exactly it is, how you are able to sign up and what the expectations are. So in terms of the actual programme, HE+ is a national outreach programme with over 3,800 participants in year 12 if you're in England, or if you are in year 13 in Northern Ireland. So there are a lot of people on this programme, which means that it's great because there are lots of people that you can meet in online sessions like mock seminars, and it is a very, very large programme. It is the largest that we run here at the University of Cambridge, which is quite exciting. And you might be wondering who is actually involved in the programme. There are quite a lot of people that come together to make this possible, because there are so many of you, and we are really grateful for all our partners that make that possible. So primarily you'll work with us here at Student Admissions and Access in terms of the online programme. People from our team like myself or Sophie or Ruri, who's not here today but writes short weekly emails, will be operating that side of things. But alongside that, you'll have a local hub school in your local area that will be working with your teacher behind the scenes to possibly put on some in-person activity, and they will be organising that with your linked Cambridge College. So we're really, really excited to be working with all of our partners this year. And now I'm officially handing over to Sophie.
Okay, so Sammy's already sort of given you a bit of an overview of some of the stakeholders that are involved in delivering the HE Plus programme. So you can see on the slide a little bit of a further breakdown of who's involved and what they're responsible for. So HE Plus coordinator, that's Sammy, and also sometimes me. So we work in the central team at the University of Cambridge, and we are responsible for organising and overseeing all of the programme, every aspect of it, but most importantly, the online delivery. So your lectures, your mock seminars, and all of your IAG that you're going to get through these sessions. Then you've got your hub school on the next stage down and your Cambridge College. So your hub school tends to be the biggest school in your area. And as Sammy said, you might visit your hub school at times during the programme, perhaps for an in-person launch, or maybe some other in-person content delivery like masterclasses. Your Cambridge College will also organise a possible visit to the university as well for those of you who have in-person places on the programme. And then lastly, we have your HE Plus teacher at your school. So they are your first point of contact for all your questions about the programme, and they will know more about what's going on in your local area. And they will provide things like support and information about what in-person activity might be happening that applies to you. So in terms of the aims of our programme, like we said, it's national, there's lots of people involved, but our overall aim is to help you to progress to a highly selective university if that is something that you would like to do. And we hope that given you've applied for this programme, that is one of your goals and ambitions. That could be Cambridge, or it could be another university that we would identify as selective. So the way that we do that is by ensuring that you are better informed about the university application process, that you're better prepared, you understand how to navigate it and what all the different elements of it are, and also that you've got a taster of what academic life at university might be like. So we do that through provision of our super curricular content. That's a difficult word to say. So in terms of how we get there are kind of 4 different ways that we aim to meet these objectives. So the first one is by providing you with information, advice and guidance webinars which focus on the university application process. So we'll cover things like why applying to university is useful and what benefits that it could bring you in the future. We will cover key aspects of the application process like personal statement drafting, and we'll also talk about things like student finance and budgeting, which we know can be key concerns for students at your stage in the application cycle. We also have subject-specific lectures and mock seminars. We've got a wide range of these, huge library that we can choose from, and we aim to pick things that are going to appeal to your interests. So lectures and mock seminar weeks will be interspersed throughout the programme, and we encourage you to sign up for as many of those as you can. The aim of these sessions is to enable you to develop some key academic skills and confidence. So that might be like writing notes, listening analytically and carefully to material that's being delivered, thinking critically about what you've read, things like that. And we'll cover in a little bit more detail what mock seminars and lectures are like later in the session. Thirdly, you have the opportunity, if you would like to participate in the HE Plus project, which is an independent academic research project. So really, really good starting point for you to start building some interesting avenues of supercurricular research that might inform your personal statement or potentially an EPQ or another more extensive research project. And again, we'll cover this in more detail later on. And then lastly, we have our in-person visits to Cambridge, which some of you will be able to participate in.
Perfect. So you might be wondering how all of this ties together and what the benefits to you might be in your academic journey. And there are 4 key things that we're hoping you'll get out of the programme as you go along, and they will tie together to meet the aims that we just set out. So first and foremost, we try to focus on super curricular content. So you might have heard of extracurricular activities, which are things that you do completely outside of the classroom, away from your studies. Super curricular activities fall somewhere in the middle, and the aim really is to get you to think outside of your curriculum and enhance your engagement with your current subjects. So it's time to kind of start thinking about the things that you're interested in and taking them much, much further than you're exploring them within the classroom. And like Sophie said, things like lectures and mock seminars can really, really benefit that journey. But of course, we are a university as well. And even though we are the University of Cambridge, I really, really want to highlight that this is not a Cambridge or Oxford specific programme. And really, we're looking to widen your knowledge of your university options generally, any highly selective universities. We want you to make informed decisions about the choices that you're making and about where you want to go. And we're hoping to provide sessions and resources through our newsletters that will help you kind of navigate that as you go along, which we think is really important. And of course, we couldn't do that without thinking about support. So we do have Module 1, Preparing for University, which we're hoping will take you through those stages of the application process and try to help you make a more competitive, better informed application. So really that is covering things like personal statements and student finance, and it's trying to give you the ingredients that you need really to make that application. And that's where super curriculars tie into it, which I'm sure you'll be seeing lots and lots and lots in our newsletters, and it will come up quite a lot in our sessions. If you saw last week's newsletter, we set you some challenges to read around your curriculum, and that is kind of starting you on the journey of supporting you through those stages of the application process and preparing you for life at university. But it's not all about the future. The good thing about HE Plus and taking part in a programme like this is that it can help you right now. So yes, our aim is that at the end of the programme, you'll feel like your academic skills are more refined and you feel more confident taking part in independent research and critically engaging with sources. But all of that is relevant to you right now. We're hoping that you can kind of take these skills that you learn in these sessions and apply them to the work that you're doing at school as well. It all ties into one another and will really help you to kind of cement those skills if you practice them more regularly in your academic work at school as well. But what we really want to know is how you are hoping that this programme will help you. So what we really want to know is which of the below options are you hoping to get out of HE Plus? And we've very cleverly added an all of the above in case all of them are of interest to you. And I think I can see that people are now answering that, which is great. So we'll see what the split is there. Give it some seconds to load. It looks like it's overwhelmingly all of the above. Yep. Overwhelmingly all of the above, which is not really a surprise. But I can see that lots of people are thinking about support for the stages of the application process. Our weekly newsletters will cover things from what is UCAS and what is the UCAS Hub, all the way until the end of interview resources and things like that. And we know that that is a big worry for students, so that's something that we're hoping to focus on and build upon throughout these sessions. So it looks great. We're happy that everybody wants to do all of the above, and hopefully we can build on that throughout the programme as well.
Yeah, it's great enthusiasm. So what we thought might be interesting to you is just to have a look at what some of the previous participants on HE Plus have said that they have gained from the programme. So some quotes are going to flash up on the screen in a minute, but some of the core themes that come through in those quotes, particularly students talking about super curricular content that they've been able to access through HE Plus or that they have been introduced to, and what that led them to do in terms of their research projects. Another thing that people talk about is the community that HE Plus kind of enables them to be a part of. So visiting Cambridge, making friends from other colleges, attending events at their hub school. And then things like a stronger UCAS application also comes up a couple of times. So hopefully that shows you that all of the things that we do on the programme will, in time, contribute to you developing some of those key skills that we've talked about previously. Okay, so one of the key places that you can access some of the super curricular content that I've talked about is on the HE Plus website and the online portal. So you can see the web address there on the screen. It's myheplus.com. So things you can find on the HE Plus portal include an interactive calendar of upcoming events. You'll also have access to all of those links in the newsletter as well that we'll talk about on the next slide. But you can use the portal to get a sense of what's coming up and what sessions you might want to sign up for if there's anything that you're interested in. We also have a huge bank of written, visual and audio resources that have been created by people in the academic Cambridge community. So they cover a wide variety of subjects, STEM through to arts and humanities and medicine and biology. You've got questions that go along with those and activities that can enable you to sort of deepen your engagement, extend your thinking, maybe think more critically and also build further research on the topic. And then reflective questions that are going to help you to develop the skills that you need at interview when you're going to have to talk about your ideas and articulate your reasoning for things. So what's quite important is that you make a note of the password and email address that you registered with. There is a forgot password button, I believe, on the HE Plus portal. So if you do forget your password, never fear, you can always click the forgot password button. But just to kind of cut out the middleman in that stage of the process, make sure that you've written it down.
Perfect. So now onto the newsletter. This is the main way that we will communicate with you. We will be sending a newsletter each week and we can see statistics. So I know that 78% of people successfully opened the first one, which is amazing, and 68 people or 70 people have accessed the second one so far. Really key, you must have seen the email that said welcome to the program because you've managed to sign up to this session here, which is amazing. The newsletter will be shared with that same email address, so please have a look in your junk mail or your inbox for the primary email address that you provided and have a look to see if it is there. Now, we've had some emails from people saying, what is the newsletter? What does it look like? What if I'm missing out? This is a picture of the newsletter here on the slide. It will always follow this same format. So if you have received an email that looks exactly like this, then well done, you found the newsletter and you are receiving it successfully. So yeah, Rui is unfortunately not here today, but he writes these and he puts a lot of effort into finding new opportunities for you, which are always exciting. But generally speaking, this will provide access to registration for upcoming sessions. We'll only include the sessions that are coming up in the month that we're in. But if you're keen and you've had a look around the portal, you might have noticed that you can see the sessions in future months as well. So do have a look on there and sign up for things early, but otherwise you can always access them really easily and quickly through the newsletter. We'll also have key information and resources relating to the application process available throughout the year. So again, some of the things that I just spoke about, we might not necessarily have a dedicated webinar to them. For example, an introduction to what supercurriculars are or the UCAS hub, but they will all feature in newsletter campaigns. So the idea is that you can access the information really quickly whenever you need to, and there'll be a kind of resource bank in there for you to go back and have a look at. Alongside that, we also will share other opportunities that may be of interest. Now, they won't be specific to Cambridge. Some of them will be at Cambridge, but we'll also share other opportunities that are coming up either directly in your subject area, so if they're very specific and they're looking at a particular subject, or if they're in a different region of the UK. So, you know, we've in the past shared lots and lots of opportunities that are coming up perhaps at your local universities that you might want to take part in, and that will take place from January, I believe. There's a lot of things that open in January. For example, our Sutton Trust Summer School applications will open, and all of the links and things that are available for you to sign up to will be in that section. So it's definitely worth checking that section out and having a look at what is available for you to take part in. And then finally, we have our reading corner recommendations and other supercurricular resources. So every now and then we will put a particular spotlight on an area of reading that we think might be interesting to you, or a supercurricular resource in your subject area that is kind of relevant to what you're looking at that you might enjoy. So do keep a look out for those kinds of things as well, because it's really, really nice sometimes to kind of see what pops up and decide whether that is for you or not. But please do double check your inbox and your junk mail. If you've double checked both and you're definitely not receiving an email that looks like this image on the screen, please do send us an email at the HE Plus inbox, and we can look into that for you a bit further. So in terms of live sessions, they won't take place every week. We try to split them up so they take place every other week, but sometimes they do fall kind of in the weeks next to each other. So it's really important to make a note of the sessions that you've signed up to and have a look on the interactive calendar or the newsletter to see exactly what the date is for these sessions. So they won't just be every week, Tuesday and Thursday. Attendance at live sessions is monitored through registration reports from sessions like these, and engagement reports will be shared with the lead HE Plus teacher at your school. This is not meant to punish you or to tell you off. It's purely so they can track your engagement and talk to you about any of the things that you've been attending, or offer you some extra additional support if you're finding it hard to engage in a live session perhaps. So please don't feel like you're being watched all the time. It is just for our kind of evaluation behind the scenes and to make sure that your teachers can properly support you with that process. So in terms of our general session kind of setup, webinars will always take place on GoToWebinar. And you'll always have a choice between 5 to 6 p.m. on a Tuesday or a Thursday. If you're unable to attend either of those, you might choose to attend a recorded session, which will be available for catch-up at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. And if for whatever reason you're not able to attend any of those sessions, that's perfectly fine. You're still able to engage. At the end of each month, we will share the recordings for the sessions of that month. They'll be stored on the HE Plus portal, and you can go back and access them at any time. So all of our sessions that take place on GoToWebinar will always be recorded for you to access. In terms of mock seminars and lectures, they take place a bit more sporadically. We try to rotate, so we'll have a lecture week in one month and a mock seminar week in another month. Lectures will also take place on GoToWebinar, and they are recorded for catch-up as well, but they will take place between Monday and Friday, between 5 and 6 p.m. and 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. So we try to have 2 lectures a day so that you have a choice throughout the week. There will be one coming up at the end of January. So if you're really, really keen, you can go and have a look at what is coming up on the HE Plus portal and sign up ahead of time. Otherwise, they will be promoted at the very start of January. The only thing that is not recorded, our mock seminars. So because we ask you to use your microphone and your camera in those sessions, it's very interactive. They are not recorded at all. That is to ensure that the people taking part are able to speak freely and comfortably and can engage in that group discussion without worrying that anybody else might see that session. So they will also take place Monday to Friday, 5 to 6 p.m, but they will not be recorded. So if you're unable to attend in that round, you will unfortunately need to wait for the next one. In terms of in-person activity, which is what people always want to know about, we don't organise the in-person activity ourselves. Your local hub school will be working with your teacher at your school and the Cambridge College to make that provision. Now, that is only where capacity allows and where it is applicable. So you should really discuss with your teacher at your school that helped you to sign up for this opportunity, or who communicated it with you, about what opportunities there are and whether you might be selected. Unfortunately, there isn't capacity for everybody to attend in-person activity, so it really will depend on your local area and how that works. But if there is any in-person activity happening, your school will definitely be able to pass that information on to you and make sure that you don't miss out. So be sure to talk to your teacher about it for more information.
Okay, so we've talked quite a lot about some of the different elements of the programme that you can engage with, including lectures and mock seminars and in-person activity. But this slide is going to help you to visualise how the programme is broken down. So we have 3 modules in HE Plus. The first one is Module 1, Preparing for University, and that includes things like this launch. We have sessions on why university, choosing your course and the things that you should take into consideration when doing that, student finance and budgeting, personal statement drafting, and then we also have student roundtables, which are an opportunity for you to hear from current undergraduates at the University of Cambridge talking about their experiences of preparing for university and navigating that process. Module 2 is learning beyond the curriculum. So this refers to the super curricular aspect of HE Plus that we've been talking about. So we've got sessions on making the most of lectures and mock seminars. We also have a dedicated newspaper campaign, not newspaper, we don't run a newspaper, newsletter campaign, which we'll talk to you about supercurriculars, and our reading corner is a big part of that. Then we have the lecture series weeks and the mock seminar weeks that Sammy's been talking about. I've had a couple of questions come in about what are lectures and mock seminars, and we will address those towards the end of the session. And then module 3 is the HE Plus project. So this one is it's optional, but we highly encourage that you get yourself involved with that. And then to break it down, we've got sessions that include an introduction to the project, so what it is, what would be expected from you, how you can participate in it. And then we have a series of monthly research skills support sessions. So that can be anything from how to draft a research question to sort of more in-depth research skills and building your portfolio of things that you've read. Then we also have things like materials that you can access via the HE Plus academic content booklet and task booklet that will help you structure your HE Plus project. These modules kind of run concurrently. So we'll start with mostly module 1 in January, and then after that, you'll have bits of module 1, bits of module 2, bits of module 3 happening all at the same time. I think we've skipped ahead to the Slido. So we are quite interested in what modules you are most looking forward to, and it looks like the winner is learning beyond the curriculum. But we've also got lots of people interested in preparing for university and the HE Plus project as well. And as we said before, they are all interlinked. So all the skills that you learn in one will apply in some way to the other bits of it as well.
Yeah, yesterday we got quite a few questions about how the modules will work. So will I have to do all of module 1, all of module 2 and all of module 3? No, the idea is that each month you'll have a little bit of each one. So you'll kind of be all of them concurrently and building those skills together with the knowledge as you go, rather than having to do all of one and then moving into 2. So there'll be a selection and variety of things to do each month, which also keeps it interesting, which is great. We had a lot of questions yesterday about module 3, the HE Plus project, which I'm very happy about because it's one of my favourite parts of the programme. We're often behind the screen a lot of the time, and we can't see you in these sessions. So sometimes it's difficult to know that people are there, but actually when this module finishes, it's really, really nice to see your work and to see the effort that you've been putting into the programme and the research skills that you have built as part of that. So in terms of introducing the project to you, there will be live sessions at the very start of March. So that will be Tuesday the 4th of March, Thursday the 6th of March, and then you can catch up on Saturday the 8th. We will be answering all questions about the project there and introducing it to you. But in the meantime, if you are very interested, you can have a look at the HE Plus portal and see what information is available on there. So as Sophie mentioned, there is a academic content booklet and accompanying task booklet. They're available to you at any time on the HE Plus portal. So although we're not introducing it until March, you can definitely get ahead by looking at that material now. And what I will say is that, yes, it is an independent academic research project, but you can work in a pair. So if there is someone from your school that you want to work with, or someone that is on HE Plus but goes to another school that used to go to your old school, you can definitely work on the project together and submit it as a pair. And we've had pairs reach the final before, which is really, really exciting. So you can see here an example of one of our winners from 2 years ago. This is an absolutely fantastic piece of work. And this is the kind of thing that we're hoping that you'll work on throughout the program and produce at the end of it. And yeah, every year we get some amazing examples that you can also access on the portal. So that information is available to you at any time. So do have a look on the portal and see what is available on there. So each year we have a different theme. The theme for this year is uncertainty. So that is, last year was the future and this year is the uncertainty theme. Last year we had lots about AI and the environment, marine life. I'm sure there'll be similar themes that will pop up this year. And when we have our second kind of online support session, we will be exploring this theme in much more detail. So we'll have a talk together about what uncertainty might mean, what subject areas, you know, what does it relate to within those. So there'll be lots of opportunities for us to work together on this theme and have a think about how it might apply to your research area. But it's definitely something to start thinking about and mind mapping if that is something that is of interest to you. And I've just got some key dates here for you to have a look at. So you can see that submissions will open on the HE Plus portal on the 1st of May. And then you have 4 months until the 1st of September when submissions close. I would say don't let the May submission opening intimidate you. Lots of people do submit, you know, on the deadline on the 1st of September. We know that May is a really, really busy time for year 12 and 13 students. So even though it's open then, don't feel like you have to have work ready by that deadline. It's meant to be a flexible project that you can fit in here and there, and most people do work on it over the summer. And we've had finalists before tell us that they worked on it over the summer. So don't feel like if you're starting a little bit later, you might be missing out. Some of the best work that we've seen is produced over that summer period. And in terms of the next steps after that, so once you've submitted, your work will be marked by Cambridge students and feedback will be provided in September and October. And I would say that this is a really big reason to take part. Yes, taking part in an academic independent research project can be really, really good for your personal statement, and we'd highly encourage you to take part for that aspect. But also this is a really low stakes way to try out your academic skills. You know, have a go at referencing for the first time, have a go at really critically engaging with academic resources and forming your own opinions and putting those into your work. That is all a really, really valuable experience, and your marks will never be shared with anybody. They won't be shared with your school. They won't be shared with any universities you apply to. This is just a really good, again, low stakes way for you to try something new and get some feedback on it and see where you're at and where you can improve. So we'd recommend taking part even for just that aspect, but it wouldn't be an academic competition without a celebration. So in November, all 25 of our top scoring finalists are invited to the University of Cambridge to present their work and take part in a showcase judged by PhD students. It is my favourite event of the year. I might be a little bit biased because last year they told me that it was like meeting a famous person, but it is a really, really good event, and it's really, really nice way to round off the programme and celebrate everyone's achievements. So I would highly encourage you to take part if you're also aiming to be one of those 25 finalists who bring themselves and a supporter to Cambridge at the end of the year.
I think it could also just be really fun if you pick something that you're really interested in as well. So good way to spend your time. But in terms of what we expect from you and how can you make the most out of the HE Plus programme, our biggest piece of advice to you is to be an active participant on the programme. Try to attend as many of the sessions as you can. Try things out that you think you might be interested in. So like we said before, we have a really wide range of lectures and seminar events for you to attend. It might be that something has piqued your interest, but it isn't necessarily the subject you see yourself pursuing. Make sure that you sign up to as much as you can. You've got multiple opportunities in each week to attend each session. And as Sammy mentioned earlier, we run them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then you also have the opportunity to catch up again on the Saturday morning. So yeah, just make sure that you consume as much of the content as possible. And then you can see a little quote on there on the screen there from a former HE Plus participant who said that the whole experience was great and they originally took part in it just because they thought it would help the university application, which hopefully it will equip you with some skills that might help you make a stronger application. But in the end, they thoroughly ended up enjoying every session and found it really, really useful. So that is what we hope for all of you participating in the programme. Right, I think that brings us to our questions.
I think so. It's
Right.
worth noting, so I know some people might ask the question, so I'll already preemptively answer it. Nothing on the programme is compulsory. So there's no expectation that you have to take part in everything. You don't have to submit a project if you don't want to. You don't have to take part in a mock seminar if you don't want to, but it's something that we will strongly encourage you to take part in. And again, if you want to make the most of the programme, the only way to do that is to sign up and be present at those sessions. So although it's not compulsory, that's something that we would really encourage. And I think we've got lots of questions coming in.
We do have lots of questions coming in. The first one, which is purely practical, is somebody can't see the handout on the side panel.
You should be able to see it on the side panel. If not, you can always email us afterwards and we'll be able to send it to you, but it is there on the little handout. There should be a little hand section, and you can download it just from there.
There are quite a lot of questions coming through about school codes and where to find out their school code.
Yes, if you are unsure of your school code, that will be in the welcome email that we sent to you, which hopefully you've received because you're here. That is in there, so you'll be able to see it on there. Alternatively, it is also embedded in the weekly newsletter. So if you scroll down to a lower section of the newsletter, your school code is in there in every single email, so you should be able to access it there. Your teacher also has your school code, but failing that, if it's not to be found anywhere, you can always email us and we'll be able to provide your school code to you.
Okay, we've got quite a few questions come through about whether HE Plus will help you get into the University of Cambridge or whether it will be linked to a contextual offer.
So unfortunately, it doesn't guarantee acceptance at any university. That's not how this outreach programme works. Our aim really is to help you strengthen those applications, to build a competitive application, and we hope in turn that helps you with your acceptance at other universities, but it doesn't guarantee any acceptance. Likewise, HE Plus is not a contextual offer programme, so it's unlikely that you'll be made any contextual offers based on taking part. Some programmes will offer contextual offers. Normally they're linked specifically to the university that you're taking part in the programme with, and that doesn't transcribe across all of your choices. So if you're applying to one university and you've got a contextual offer, don't assume that that will follow across to all of 4 of your other options. You've got to really look at that. But no, unfortunately, it doesn't guarantee acceptance at Cambridge or Oxford or contextual offers, sadly.
Okay, we've got quite a few questions coming through about what is a mock seminar. And whether the subject choices that students have indicated on their forms will limit which mock seminars and lectures they can sign up to.
Yeah, so when you signed up to the programme, you indicated your top 3 subject choices. That might apply to some subject stranding within your in-person activity, but with the online content, you're able to access absolutely any subject that you want to take part in at all. So when it's time to sign up to mock seminars, we will send around a list and we will indicate which subject each mock seminar applies to, but you're free to sign up to any and all that you want to. So if you're stuck for your subjects, you're not sure what you want to do at university yet, that's great. Sign up to sessions in both and see which you prefer. And in terms of what an actual mock seminar is, so when you're at university, you'll often get pre-reading or mathematical equations or some kind of source material ahead of time, and then you'll meet in a small group scenario to discuss that. So the way that our mock seminars work is they all take place online on Zoom, and you can sign up to any subject, and then we will provide you with some pre-work. That might just be watching a short video, it might be reading a short extract. They're not designed to take up lots and lots of your time, and then you'll come together with other people on the programme from across the country and just discuss that pre-reading within an hour's session. Now they do take place on Zoom, and we do ask that students use microphones and cameras to simulate the real kind of in-person experience, but yeah, they're a very good environment to kind of try out talking with new people, discussing your ideas and your thoughts. So we would highly recommend that you sign up to one when they're announced.
Okay, and a related question to that is, what is the difference between a lecture and a seminar?
That's a really good question. So lectures outside of this programme, lectures you'll normally attend and they'll be delivered directly by an academic on a subject area that is their specialism. So sometimes when you take a module, it will have multiple different lecturers and they've all selected a small section of it that is their special subject. And the idea normally is that they will talk for 1 or 2 hours sometimes, and you will listen and make notes and kind of engage with that later on. And then a mock seminar often follows up from, well, a real seminar, I guess, often follows up from that. So at university, you will then get some pre-work that is related to that lecture that you have to go away and critically engage with. And then you'll all come together in a small group to discuss that in relation to what was seen in the lecture. So on HE Plus, they're very separate. The lectures won't necessarily follow on to the mock seminars, but broadly speaking, that's how they generally work in real life. And what we do online works very slightly differently, but the skill set is the same.
We've got quite a lot of people asking about the HE Plus project and how similar it is to an EPQ.
That's a really good question. I would say in lots of ways it is very different. So if you are doing or thinking about doing an extended project qualification, that will result in a longer essay. I believe if it's the same as when I did it many years ago, it's 5,000 words or so. And it is very much about your writing and, you know, presenting your work in an essay format. With the HE Plus project, it is just an academic research poster. So we don't accept any essays. It has to be in an academic research poster format, like the one that you saw on the slide previously. The idea behind that is to trial out your work in a new way. So if you are doing an extended project, you can do your poster on the similar or same topic because the work is presented very differently, and that can be a great way to trial out writing in different academic formats, or you can just, it's meant to be really so that you can kind of fit it in here and there. We don't want you to write a 5,000 word essay, but we just want to see in a very condensed way that you can communicate your academic ideas in a very easily accessible way that also doesn't require you to put too much time into it, because we know that year 12, year 13 are really, really busy.
We've got quite a lot of very specific questions about the HE Plus project coming through around marking criteria and structure. We'll come back to those questions when Module 3 launches in March. You'll have lots of sessions covering all of these skills. So we won't answer those now. We'll just prioritise some of the things that are more generally about the programme. So there are quite a few people asking, how do they know if they've got an in-person place? And if they've got an in-person place, can they also attend the online content?
Yes, so this will depend on your hub and the way that your hub works, because they don't work the same across the country. For some hubs, all of you will have an in-person place, and for other hubs, only a portion of students will be able to access in-person activity. Again, this is due to capacity in your local area. The best way to find out whether you are an in-person student or online is to talk directly with your teacher at your school. So again, that's the person who communicated this opportunity with you and might have been in touch with you. Sometimes it's a kind of Oxbridge or higher education coordinator at your school, or someone who works in careers. So that named teacher will be able to provide that information to you more directly. Unfortunately, we don't know that information for every student because we don't organise the events.
Yeah, there's lots of people asking, will they get a certificate at the end of the programme or anything to show that they've participated?
Unfortunately, because of the size of the programme and the nature of the programme, we don't provide a certificate of completion. The exception to that is the HE Plus project. So if you do choose to take part in the HE Plus project, everybody who takes part receives a certificate of participation or a certificate of excellence. And on that, even, I know we've got lots of questions about the project that we'll come back to later, but in the meantime, you can access all of that information about marking criteria, expectations, breakdowns, all of that kind of thing in the academic content booklet on the portal. So definitely do have a look on there. I would highly recommend it as well.
Okay, and then we've got an interesting question about what exactly are hub schools?
Yes, so that is a really interesting question. How do I explain that? A hub school is kind of in charge of these events within your local area. Um, unless you're in very specific hubs like Hampshire or Stoke, sometimes you won't hear from your hub school directly at all, and all communications will be through your teachers. So you don't necessarily need to worry about whether you've missed any emails from that hub school or any communications. That will be communicated to you directly by your teacher. Essentially, it's just a school in your local area that's organising local events, and you will occasionally go to that school to have those events. But again, your teachers will share more information about that directly.
Yeah, a few people are asking about where they can find the interactive calendar on the HE Plus portal.
If you log in and go to the webinars page, the interactive calendar is on there, and it will allow you to click through until March at the moment, I believe. Once we get into February and March, we'll upload the events that are coming up in April, May and June. But for now, if you just go onto the webinars page of the portal, you can find the interactive calendar on there. And as time goes on, you'll also be able to find recordings of sessions and lectures on there as well.
I'm just scanning for some more questions. People are asking if they watch a recorded session on the Saturday, will that affect their attendance?
No, so if you watch the recorded session on a Saturday, your attendance will still be logged because you have to register for that event. If you watch the session outside of that, so you watch it on YouTube, we won't necessarily be able to capture your attendance on there. That only really affects our evaluation and monitoring. If your teacher receives a report and it doesn't say that you've watched a session, it's literally only so they can discuss it with you. So don't worry about that not being logged at all. It really is just so that they can support you. And if it's not captured, it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm. A few people are asking where they can find recorded sessions.
Yes, so these will always be added to the HE Plus portal. They won't be shared via the newsletter. We will let you know when they're on there, but they'll only be uploaded at the end of every month. If for whatever reason you need to desperately watch a session before the end of the month, you can always email us again at heplus at admin.cam.ac.uk, and we can provide you with those as well.
There's quite a few questions where people have asked, will the content be really difficult, especially for something like the mock seminars?
No, so that is our aim. The aim is that the work is short, so you'll always receive pre-work that is accessible for you. So you'll never receive something like a 200-page document to read within a week. That's not our intention. Sometimes it will be as short as a 10-minute YouTube video or a clip of a podcast or an excerpt from a book, but they are intended to be accessible to Year 12 if you're in England, and Year 13 in Northern Ireland students, and they are intended to be accessible in terms of time taken and content as well. So don't worry about them being too difficult. And also, if you're finding it difficult, please do still come to the session. There's a lot to be learned actually, and there's a lot of discussion that takes place that you can still contribute to. I can guarantee that you've definitely come away from whatever you've read. And if you feel it's too confusing and I hate it, maybe everybody else felt the same way. So you should come along and see what people say as well.
We've got one question asking, is there a wide variety of subjects in seminars and lectures, or is it mostly the most popular courses and degrees?
Interesting. We try to get a real range wherever possible. So it will be a mix of STEM, arts and humanities and social sciences subjects every time. There are more STEM subjects generally that cover a broader area. So you might see more STEM opportunities popping up here and there. That's for capacity because lots of people want to do STEM subjects, but we have an equal amount of arts and humanities and social science sessions, and they span various topics. So we have some film studies, an Italian, kind of linguistic lectures coming up, which are really exciting, and some real good lectures that kind of go between multiple different subject areas. So you might see that some of them are tagged as multiple subjects. If any of those subjects are of interest to you at all, please do go along. It's a good way to see how your multiple subjects are coming together. That's kind of how study will be at university. Much more than A levels, you'll start to notice that in some way all subjects are linked to one another in some way, shape or form. And it's a really good idea to start kind of getting your head around that and exploring things that maybe don't sound like they're directly of interest to you, but might actually end up being really, really important to your subject and your understanding of it.
Quite a few people have asked us, can they do multiple programs at the same time? So I think the person in question is referred to STEM Smart.
Yes, you absolutely can take part in multiple programs at the same time if that's something that you want to do. We would tell you to prioritize your own workload and capacity and well-being. So if you're looking at a subject, if you're looking at a program that is similar to this one in length and time and is kind of similarly demanding, you might not want to do both at the same time. So I would weigh up the differences between them. And if you are kind of stuck for capacity, make a decision about which one you want to prioritize and which one's more beneficial to you. So for example, with a program like STEM Smart, that gives you access to mentoring. Later on, it gives you access to a residential if you take part in all of the activities that are offered to you. That's quite demanding. You have to kind of weigh up if you have capacity for both, I think, and what you want to prioritize and what might be more beneficial to you. But if you choose to take part in multiple programs that are of similar size, or you've got multiple programs going on at the same time, that's fine. You can absolutely do that.
We've got a couple of questions that are kind of related. So one student is asking about student roundtables and what exactly they are. And then we have another student who's asking about how much interaction they will have with Cambridge students.
Yes, so the student roundtables will take place, I think there's one in February and there's one a bit later on in June. And we will have a roundtable of Cambridge students from a variety of different subjects, variety of geographical locations in the UK, all kind of things like that. So we've got a real wide range of students that you can come and talk to about any questions that you might have. So the first ones in February will be subject specific. So we've got one for STEM subject and we've got one for arts and humanities and social sciences. That will be an opportunity for you to come along and ask a panel of Cambridge students any questions about applications, supercurriculars, what kind of things they took part in, what things they were worried about. That will really be a really good opportunity for you to talk to them directly. And even if you're thinking, I'm not thinking of applying to Cambridge, so this isn't applicable to me, they're at Cambridge now, but they did apply to 4 other universities as well, and they have a lot of kind of information that is applicable across all areas. And in terms of the rest of the programme, our mock seminars are created and facilitated by Cambridge students, so it's a really good way to get to know what they're studying actually on their course, what kind of thing they're interested in, and our lectures are delivered by PhD students. So there are quite a few opportunities to engage directly with students throughout the programme.
Great. We've also got quite a lot of people asking for the in-person sessions. Is there a cost associated with that?
No, they should be completely free to you. So your school will often organise transport for you to go to these sessions, especially the visit to Cambridge. And visiting Cambridge, if you're lucky and you're able to, is also free. So there shouldn't be any costs incurred to you as part of the programme at all.
Okay, I'm just scanning for some themes. Quite a few people have asked, what will the in-person sessions be like if you visit your hub?
Yeah, so I think the nice thing about that is it's really dependent on your hub. So your teachers and your hub school kind of try to take into account what the needs are of students in your local area, which can be a really great way to get some really bespoke sessions. Broadly speaking, sometimes you will have subject masterclasses, So like the mock seminars, that will be an opportunity for you to get together in a small group and practice kind of discussing your ideas about a set piece of work. There might be personal statement workshops or super curricular workshops. It really will depend on what is going on in your local area, which is quite nice actually, because it's quite bespoke to you and what might be best to support you throughout the programme. So it really will be different, but your teacher, again, will be able to provide more information about the specifics of that and how it will work.
Lots and lots of questions filtering in.
We've only got time for a few more.
Have asked if they're on this programme, does that mean they can't apply to Oxford, or that their chances of getting into Oxford will be reduced?
Not at all. Definitely not at all. I don't think being on this programme would reduce your chances at all. It's not something that they will even take into account. So don't worry about that at all.
Another person has asked, which is quite a good question, what does HE Plus stand for?
Higher Education Plus. I had to think about that because it's not something I ever think about.
Yeah. There's still lots of people asking about things like where you can find links to weekly lectures and sessions and things. Remember what we said at the beginning of the webinar is that you'll get links in the weekly newsletter, and you will also be able to access the links via the online portal as well. So there's multiple places that you can find out about what's coming up.
Yes, essentially the newsletter is the best thing. It will have everything that you need all in one place at all times. So if in doubt, always check the newsletter first, I think.
Yeah, I think we've covered all of the major themes. There's a few people asking about if they're not getting the newsletter, how do they access it? So if you aren't getting the newsletter, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you check your junk mail, because it could be going into that box. And then if you still aren't getting it, then you can contact us and we'll double check that the email address that we're sending it to is the primary one that you want us to use for the programme, because that can sometimes be the problem. But you should have received 2 newsletters up to this point. You had your first big newsletter where we welcomed you to the programme, and then another one went out, I think it was at the beginning of this week. So there should be 2 in your inbox, and they look very similar, should be in exactly the same format as the one that Sammy shared on the slide earlier on.
Yeah, and again, if you're double checked and you definitely haven't received the email, you can always email us at our general inbox, which I've put in the chat, and you'll be able to, Rory will be able to support you with sorting that out. And I think that's probably all the time we have questions for. Our next session will not be until January now. So we are breaking up for the winter break, and we won't be back until Tuesday the 7th of January. Our next session should hopefully answer some more of your questions in detail. So our next session will be module 1 again, and it will be why university. That will be looking at things like careers, earning potential, locations, what kind of things you might be considering about going to university, and what myths you might have. And we'll also go through some tips on how you can start thinking about what might be important about going to university to you, and what things you might want to consider when trying to narrow down your options. So again, that will take place 7th and 9th and 11th of January. So be sure to sign up. There's a link that will circulate after this. You'll receive an email in an hour or so, and that will have a link to register for those sessions, so you can always access it that way as well. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining the session today. We're really looking forward to working with you throughout this academic year and kind of developing on all of these things together. Please do complete our very short survey. It should only take about 30 seconds, and it really helps us to know what it is about this session that you enjoyed and what we might do again in the future to improve this session. So once again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in a session in the new year. But thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evenings. I'll give it a second so anybody can access the QR code. Yeah, thanks everyone.